Hi, welcome to Easy Mill Express. This is probably the correct orientation for machining this fillet and the tapered surface here. Uh, that is one setup. Then you'd have to close Easy Mill Express and then open a new document and machine the pocket and the countersinks on their separate program. Then you would have to create another setup for countersinking the holes. If you're going to machine a lot of parts with a lot of setups, then you might want to consider upgrading to Easy Mill or Easy Mill Pro. So let's stay in this orientation. I could easily move our coordinate system up to the top. I'm going to show you another method. Uh, it's called World on Geometry, UCS on Geometry. You can see as I hover my cursor, you have different options. I'm just going to borrow this one for an example. Now, if I was pleased with the location, I could just hit Original. But I'm going to pick one of the 9 standard locations, top left corner. And we're going to create the stock surface. This is the block size. I'm going to assume that this block has been finished to size. There's our new placement. And here in gray, you can see our stock. We're going to create a contour operation. SmartClick is active. I click on one face, it changes all the faces that make up that contour. Now that'd be fine. If the block was oversized, you get a nice cleanup pass. I'm just going to click on the screen to clear my selection. Let's go and hit the shift key. That turns off SmartClick and I can pick individual faces. I'm going to pick those two there and we'll just verify. So you can see we're getting heavy material here. The tool would leave. Let's just demonstrate that. Leaves material. We should be cutting outside and working our way in. So what we'll do there is we'll go to multi-pass. Total stock, I'm going to exaggerate that by 0.7. And a cut step. You can go full depth with your end mill and use a shallow cut step. I'm going to use 50 thousandths. Verify that. Now it's not practical. You're going to have a lot of air cutting here. So the way around that, now we created our stock. So I'm just going to include that as a check surface. I'm going to use SmartClick, turn the shift key. I like to keep it active at all times. And EZCAM trims the toolpath. If you want, you can use Helical Step. So now you're not wrapping out of the part and stepping over to always climb mill or convention mill. This just zigzags back and forth, cutting up to the wall. Very efficient. Let's verify that. So as I mentioned, that's one setup, and you would have to open a new document to machine this side. I'm going to show you how to machine this side in one setup. That'll include the taper angle and the fillet. So I'm going to go back to UCS on geometry. If I hover my cursor, you get the tooltip. And we're going to place it right here. Upper left-hand corner. I'm going to close this. I'm going to actually delete it. If you go to the list box over here on the right click, you can delete. Now I'm going to go to contour. I'm going to select this tapered face. EZCAM detects that it's a 45-degree angle, does that for me automatically. I can use a chamfer tool and take a couple swipes down until it reaches the bottom. You could use a bullnose tool or a ball nose tool. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch ball nose tool, and if you look at the tool type, it's flat. So we go to advanced tool, just change that over to ball. Now to get the tool path, EZCAM automatically knows the top and the bottom and any stock from those 2 points. So I'll put in a small step, maybe 50 thousandths. Verify. I'll leave a stock allowance up against the wall. Now I could be using a flat end mill for that as well. I'm going to use multiple pass. total stock. Like I said, it automatically knew from this point to this point that there's stock in between when you're using multiple paths. So I'm going to just add a cut step, 0.2, verify. So now you can see it's machining in layers, 0.2, and it keeps stepping down. So it's coming from outside the part up against the wall. Now in a case like that, you're probably going to want to go with a flat end mill. I'll just change this back to the 1/2 inch. Tool number 1. There's our stair step. So you can get away with stronger depth of cut and stronger step over. So now that that's been roughed, I'm going to create a new contour to that face. Now I'll apply our ball end mill. Now we don't need a multiple pass, but we don't need the stock allowance. We're going to finish to size. Our step will be much smaller. I'll use 5 thousandths. Now it's wrapping over. It's always going to be climb milling. So what we'll use instead is we'll go to Z-Connect. So now it zigzags down to depth. Now if I look at a side view, the ball end mill is tangent to this, or actually stops the tip. There'll be a ball end mill here, so you'll get a cusp at the bottom. Let's take a look at what that looks like. You can see it here. Maybe one of the better options is to go to Verify, Simulation Setup, and I'm going to click check on Create Uncut Solids. That's part compare. So now when I preview it again, you can see that lip we're getting at the bottom. No worries, we have a nice feature to take care of that. We just go to the Z allow. Instead of leaving a positive value, we'll go -0.1. Verify. You can see that we get that extended toolpath. So at part compare, you can see green is cut to size, red is stock. If you had an undercut or a gouge, you would see yellow. Okay, now for the fillet. Now in EZMill and EZMill Pro, there are tools to handle a 3D surface or a fillet like this. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to use the contour, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with that. So by double clicking on that fillet, it gives me a diameter of 1 inch. That fillet is a 1/2 inch radius. So we'll go to contour, pick that face. I'll use the ball end mill. Single pass with a small step. Taper angle. There must be something, so I'm going to put in 10 thousandths. Go behind the scenes. Go to cycle data. Draft options. Top fillet, 0.5. Got to give it a depth. There we go. So I just cheated. I made that fillet with a contour operation, so it's not a 3D feature. Preview that. That's perfect. So just enough angle. There has to be an angle associated with the fillet. And that gets you through. Now we're ready for the pocket. Select the bottom face. We'll use a Z step of maybe 250. If I calculate my tool diameter, it's 0.27, so we'll need at least a 1/4 inch to clean up these corners in through here. So that's an automatic calculator. So this will be tool number 3, and that will be a flat end mill. Now, what I'm guessing is that the 200 that 20 quarter-inch step down is going to be too much to just act the end mill act as a drill. So I'm going to go and add plunge options. We'll go with helix, helical radius. So I'll put in 0.2, and per revolution, let's go down and advance 50 thousandths. So as you can see here, we have our spiral down to depth. We want to take out the depth. That should be 0. Let EZCAM determine the depth based on the surface I selected. Okay, now we need to address our holes. I'm going to select my countersink. I'm going to go to Advanced Tool. I'll use a spot drill. Diameter, let's go with 0.5. Tip angle, 82 degrees. We'll get rid of this step and verify. Now, what happened here is EZCAM detects that taper angle and gives us the additional depth so that the tip reaches the bottom of this to generate this diameter here. The negative 0.75, if that was 0, the surface where we touched off our tools, it would feed from that point until it reached the bottom. That's a lot of air. So EZCAM detected that that pocket is where this hole should start. Let's take a look at our preview. Perfect. Now all we need to do is drill the other 2 holes. What I mean by that is if I select one hole, EZCAM finds all the holes of the same diameter. So we select 1, 2. This will be tool number 6. Calculate my tip, my tool diameter. I'm going to change over to drill. Tip angle of 118 degrees. Verify. Preview. Now for our one last hole. Tool 7. Verify. Preview. All right, let me go over a couple of features with you. If you want to change the order of operations, let's say let's double click. There's our taper angle. There's our fillet right here. Let's say you want to machine the fillet first. So you highlight contour 3, use the left arrow key to move the operation up, use the right to move it down. So now that becomes the first thing that gets machined. Now, if I go to the lower left-hand corner, there's a button here for the work step manager. Slide this up. There's our contour 3 that we moved to the top. You can also right-click and cut and copy. You can copy work steps. You can delete them. You can sort by tool number. So let's check our tool numbers. So we have tool, bring over the diameter so you can click and drag. So tool 2 is a 1/4 inch, and that's a ball. We have a 1/4 inch. That's tool 2. This is a flat end mill, so that's tool 3. Tool 1's our 1/2 inch. So this is a way of changing your tool numbers. So if I wanted to change this to tool 4, that gets updated in all of your operations. So anything you adjust here You can change like your max RPM 4000. Let's just click on RPM. Let's highlight this, right click, fill down. So now all of them are 4000 RPM, maxed out my machine's RPM, and change maybe your feed rates. So, okay, well, that's the lesson I have for you today. You're ready to post process, and happy machining.